Hello, and thank you for tuning into this presentation. My name is John Templeton. I'm a graduate researcher at the University of Notre Dame in the Mobile Computing Lab within the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. The work done in this study was also completed by researchers at Florida International University in the School of Computing and Information Sciences. The title of this talk that I will be presenting on behalf of all authors is The Case for Symptom-Specific Neurological Digital Biomarkers. In this presentation, the motivations for this work will be addressed, followed by a brief introduction and related works of current versions of clinical assessments. Next, the methodology for participant recruitment and subsequent data collections will be covered. Then, the results of preliminary and expanded analysis will be shown, followed by a discussion of function-specific digital biomarkers, limitations of the study, and future work. Finally, a brief set of conclusions will be presented. There are two main motivations of the work presented in this study. First is to demonstrate that objective digital biomarkers collected from mobile-based functional assessments can be used to provide symptom-specific insights on neurological deficiencies of individuals with Parkinson's disease. Second, this work was to demonstrate that these digital biomarkers are sensitive to functional change in relation to structured physical interventions. These motivations can be better understood with the inclusion of background knowledge on clinical neurological assessment systems. Typically, as an individual is suspected of having a progressive or acquired neurological condition, a cognitive screening assessment is given. However, with the transition of these clinical cognitive screening assessments from pen and paper to mobile-based versions, there is the capability to expand functional assessments to allow for objective scoring, the interpretation of results relating to the initial diagnosis, and the monitoring of the disease. These neurocognitive assessment instruments focus on subparts or functional areas of neurocognition, including motor, memory, speech, and executive functions. To gain further insights for intended personalized rehabilitation programs, it is imperative to administer precise and objective assessments providing symptom-specific information. Previous work suggests that physical activity, encompassing both routine activities of daily living and dedicated exercise, during the critical window of early and mid-stage of the disease, is vital to the management of PD symptoms and disease progression. However, many studies evaluate physical interventions as a one-size-fits-all concept, as current evidence is not sufficient to develop personalized rehabilitation programs. Given that PD is a designer disease, meaning no two diagnosed individuals manifest the exact same symptoms, the creation of personalized rehabilitation programs relies on the administration of precise and objective assessments providing symptom-specific information. The methodology section for this work will also be used to give a better understanding of functional neurological assessment systems as related to previous material covered. Digital versions of functional assessments allow for expanded biomarker sets to be collected compared to current gold standard methods. In this study, 54 adults participated who were between the ages of 52 and 84. These participants consisted of two groups: those with a confirmed diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, as well as age-matched healthy controls. This work focused on individuals with Parkinson's disease since they demonstrate impaired functionality of motor, cognitive, and multifunctional tasks. All participants were required to complete a set of mobile-based functional tasks commonly administered in neurocognitive screening assessments. These consist of both single and multifunctional tasks. The purpose of single functional tasks is to focus on one primary area of neurocognition, like motor function or memory, by itself, whereas multifunctional tasks involve two or more functional areas of neurocognition equally, like walking and talking at the same time. There were 13 neurocognitive functional tasks that collected 74 digital biomarkers in the preliminary analysis and 115 digital biomarkers in an expanded analysis. Depictions of both the task instruction and interactive views will be shown on the following slides, in addition to examples of collected digital biomarkers. It should be noted that certain collected digital biomarkers are consistent throughout all tasks including device magnitude of acceleration or overall time biomarkers, whereas others are specific to each task. Examples of specific digital biomarkers will be verbally noted in the following slides. For a fine motor tracing task, the individual was instructed to use their index finger to draw on the screen to trace a depicted shape. Examples of collected digital biomarkers include maximum drawing speed, average distance from the prompted shape, and the number of crossings of the depicted outline. The next is an example of a multifunctional task. This task had the individual again use their index finger to draw on the screen and trace a depicted shape while also completing a non-automatic speech task in tandem. An example of this is listing the months of the year out loud in reverse order from December to January. Multifunctional tasks provide an element of cognitive interference or the addition of an outside stimuli that intrudes on the task-related activity. They also greatly expand the number of functional digital biomarkers that are able to be collected by a task. For a gross motor functional task, the user is instructed to air trace depicted shapes by using their arms outstretched to motion the shape in space. Overall completion time, device rotation, and magnitudes of acceleration are digital biomarkers of interest in this task. Another multifunctional task is shown for this example. The subject again is instructed to air trace a depicted shape while also completing a non-automatic speech task in tandem. Similar to the fine motor multifunctional task, the overall device movement, speaking times, and number of incorrect or additional words said are biomarkers of interest. For reflex tasks, the user was instructed to tap on the screen to interact with a set of moving targets. Specific digital biomarkers include the number of targets interacted with, the number of missed targets, and the average time from a prompted target to a correct interaction. For a memory task, the user was to tap on depicted cards in pairs until all cards have been matched. Digital biomarkers collected include the maximum time between matched pairs, the number of individual card flips before being part of a matched pair. For executive function, a digital version of the trail making task is used where the user was instructed to draw a line using their index finger connecting all shapes in increasing numerical order. The number of correct and incorrect interactions, the time between corresponding points, and the average distance from true value lines are all examples of digital biomarkers being collected. For another executive function task, a digital version of the Stroopward color test was utilized where the user was required to discern the difference between prompted colors and words and then speak the correct response. Digital biomarkers include the number of correct responses and the time between the prompt and the next word said. For a set of speech-based tasks, the user was prompted to read a sentence out loud or name prompted objects. Digital biomarkers include the number of both correct and incorrect words said and the average time between words said. For the final task, a multifunctional task, the user was instructed to narrate a sentence while also writing the sentence word for word in the space provided. In addition to all participants taking the functional assessment described previously, all diagnosed individuals in the Parkinson's disease group participated regularly in structured rehabilitative programs designed for Parkinson's disease. Structured intervention programs were completed at least twice a week, and they lasted between 45 and 60 minutes per session. For the PD group, all functional tasks were given both before and after these interventional training sessions to assess that digital biomarkers are sensitive to functional change in relation to structured physical interventions. The next set of slides will explore the results of this work, both in terms of preliminary and expanded dataset analysis. Of the 74 collected digital biomarkers in the preliminary data collections, 17 or 22.97% were significant with a significant p-value of 0.05 when comparing individuals with PD prior to physical interventions and age-matched controls. However, following interventions, only 7 digital biomarkers, or 9.46%, were significant when comparing individuals with Parkinson's disease to controls. The total number of digital biomarkers in the figure is separated based off of single and multifunctional tasks to depict what modality of tasks different significant digital biomarkers come from and how they relate to physical intervention. In the expanded data collection using 115 digital biomarkers, 20 were significant with a p-value of less than 0.05 when comparing individuals with PD prior to physical interventions to age-matched controls, showing a numerical increase compared to preliminary collections. Following interventions, a numerical increase was also seen in the amount of significant digital biomarkers comparing individuals with PD to controls. The percentage of digital biomarkers of significance dropped in this expanded data collection. However, the new significant digital biomarkers allow for better understanding of neurological functions affected by PD. Similarly, this figure is separated based on single and multifunctional task types to depict what modality of tasks significant digital biomarkers come from in the expanded set. The following table gives insights on a variety of concepts integral to this work. The table shows the breakdown of the number of significant digital biomarkers across neurocognitive functions of interest as they relate to single and multifunctional tasks. Further, this table depicts how these digital biomarkers are sensitive to functional change given physical interventions in the comparison of groups before intervention to controls, after intervention to controls, and before and after interventions to each other. A few things to note from this table are given the sample size of this pilot study, the definition of significant digital biomarkers was expanded to p being less than 0.1. The increase to the p-value allows for a better understanding of PD given the nature of the condition, as individuals with PD do not always manifest the same symptoms. Digital biomarkers with a p-value of less than 0.1 indicate functional biomarkers that have a higher likelihood of being significant within a larger sample size. An additional note, all executive functional tasks are inherently multifunctional in nature, as an individual needs to move or speak to carry out their executive function. Therefore, they are a subset of the multifunctional task digital biomarker set. This final graph is intended to depict the number of significant metrics needed in mobile-based neurocognitive assessments for individuals with PD. It depicts the number of metrics that are significant between PD populations and controls, regardless of interventions, and between individuals with Parkinson's disease, both before and after interventions. The following slides will discuss function-specific digital biomarkers collected by the system, as well as limitations and future work to be completed. This pilot study implemented an assessment tool specifically designed for individuals with Parkinson's disease that focused on tablet-based user-device interactions for the collection of objective digital biomarkers. These objective digital biomarkers were found to provide symptom-specific insights on neurological deficiencies of individuals with Parkinson's disease, and were found to be sensitive to functional change in relation to structured physical interventions for individuals with PD. Of the collected 115 objective digital biomarkers, 36 of them were significant, with a p-value of less than 0.1. A further breakdown by neurocognitive function is shown in the figure, as well as all significant digital biomarkers being listed by functional task. Additionally, 8 digital biomarkers listed below were found to be significant regardless of intervention. These may indicate strong biomarkers for PD, or in other words, the aforementioned biomarkers should be implemented in health screenings when Parkinson's disease is suspected, because these biomarkers separate control populations from PD populations regardless of physical interventions. Future work should involve analyzing digital biomarkers across larger populations. As this is a pilot study, a larger sample of individuals with PD and in different stages of the disease would be necessary for further digital biomarker validation. The inclusion of other populations with different neurodegenerative diseases, like Alzheimer's disease or dementia, and their stages would also aid in extracting significant disease-specific digital biomarkers for those conditions. Given the collected data and outcomes, a further exploration and expansion of all digital biomarker sets should occur, but particularly the single functional digital biomarkers of memory and speech. An example of this is seen for speech, where only one collected digital biomarker was significant. Although individuals with PD exhibit difficulty in performing multifunctional tasks, single functional task digital biomarkers are still highly necessary in the understanding of how PD symptoms manifest. The expansion of these digital biomarker sets should come from the use of different device sensors, like speech frequency from microphones and amplitude, timing using different audio samples, gait using accelerometers, gyroscopes, and/or device cameras, or comprehensive systems like IoT or wearable devices. In conclusion, mobile-based digital biomarkers provide promising measures that are useful in diagnostic and monitoring processes, which currently rely on subjective clinical measures and self-reported information. This pilot study was completed to give a deeper understanding of significant digital biomarkers specific to Parkinson's disease. Ultimately, the integration of mobile capabilities into digital versions of clinical assessments enhances the understanding of how neurodegenerative diseases present and provide necessary personalized diagnostic and monitoring information. A short list of references has been provided for the purposes of this presentation. However, for the complete list of references, please refer to the corresponding paper in the upcoming conference proceedings. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of myself and the other authors of this work to thank you for your time in listening to the presentation entitled The Case for Symptom-Specific Neurological Digital Biomarkers. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact us.